afternoon, everyone. Great to see so many familiar faces and names within the participants part of the Zoom. With many of you, I was in touch on LinkedIn about attending this event, so thank you so much for accepting the invite and for being here today. For those who don't know me, my name is Ivana Kirtiansky and I am the Chief Operating Officer of Awards International, the company that organizes customer experience awards in the UK, Gulf region, USA, Turkey, Europe, and especially proud to say that just 2 weeks ago we held the biggest ever CX Awards, and that is the International Customer Experience Awards. As you may know, Awards International has been partnering with Customer Experience Professionals Association, or CXPA, in advancing CX. This meeting today is the product of our partnership, and we are truly delighted to such a high interest in the CX topic in Central and Southeast Europe. We are here today to bring the CX profession closer to you and to give you an opportunity to expand your business network and to learn from the people who have been involved with Awards International and CXPA as judges, entrants, or members of CXPA. So I encourage all of you to keep your videos on and to feel free to chat with the participants. So if you wish, you can also share your LinkedIn profile in the chat. And also you're very welcome to post your questions in the chat. And we will make sure that all of your questions are answered. I am delighted to introduce to you our panelists today. So we have Gabriela Ciupitu, CCXP, the founding member of Customer Experience Romania. Then I hope we have Dejan Markovic, the segment team leader at Telenor Serbia, and Laura Tengerdi, CCXP, CXPA Hungary, co-founder and country lead brand and customer experience consultant and mentor. Gabriela, Dejan, and Laura will give their opinion on the CX topics where your interaction will be required. This will be in the second part of this meeting. So, and now, let me introduce our speaker today. You probably already know who to expect, but I'd like to share with you a little video of an amazing reaction that our speaker today had on 14th of October when she was announced as the gold winner in the CX Leader of the Year category at this year's UK Customer Experience Awards. So give me just a moment to share this with you.
It's Gemma Colby, Yell UK.
Gemma! Now, I think the face says it all. We'll just give you a few moments, Gemma, to let that sink in. Let me just say it again. Gemma Colby, UK Customer Experience Leader of the Year 2021. Now, if you're able to speak, how does that feel, Gemma?
My heart is beating up my chest. Wow, absolutely wow. I'm speechless is not really in my
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So I'm really not sure what to do with this. This is incredible. I think it speaks to all the hard work that we've done, and I've been blown away by everybody tonight. So to have this recognized and to recognize all the work that we've done at Yell is just, there's no words. So amazing. Well, thank you so much. The judges were amazing on the day, and it's been inspirational tonight to see everybody winning, and just incredible. Well done to everyone, and thank you. Thank you.
Gemma,
Well, Gemma, thank you for being here with us today. Over to you.
Right. Well, I haven't seen that before, so I remember it as a bit of a blur, to be honest, on the night. So it's a nice walk down memory lane. So I'm going to share my screen. Just give me 1 second, because this is always where things can go a bit wrong. We've tested it, so it should work. Can everybody see that?
Yes, all good. Great.
Okay, so let me just get some of your faces up here. It's always most challenging when you feel like you're presenting into a bit of a vacuum. So I'm Gemma Colby, and you can't really beat an introduction like that. I did win the Customer Experience Leader of the Year award in October this year, and to say that that was something of a shock, I think you can see on that video, but absolutely incredible to recognize all the work that we've been doing and making a difference to our customers. So Ivana contacted me and said, would you come along? Here's an audience of people who are really so keen to make a difference to customers and want to learn as much as they can. So I've taken some time to really think about what has, I think, in people I've worked with that I've seen, as well as what I know has worked for me, what makes a great CX leader. And I think the thing that I've reflected on is that I still feel like I'm at the early stages of my CX leadership journey. But then when I look across my career, I think it's always been about customer experience for me, even when I didn't know it was called that. And I think that's the important thing. Every day you are making a difference to the experience customers are having, even if you don't have that in your title. So what I wanted to talk about today was just to share with you a bit about Yell, the company I work with or work for, and myself, my background, and some of the key things I've learned and have kept with me throughout my career. So let me just move on. So if I start by introducing Yell, my current role is Head of Customer Experience at Yell, and I've been here for 6 years. And it's a digital marketing company based in the UK. And to give you a bit of background, Yell's flagship product for many, many years was a print paper directory called the Yellow Pages. And that's no longer how people find businesses to interact with. If you think about the last time you did that, it would be a while ago, or it'd be really unusual. And so we've been on an impressive digital transformation journey over the last few years, where now we only offer digital marketing products. And our businesses are primarily small to medium local businesses. So think about your hairdressers, your florists, your mechanics. They are the people that we're trying to help. And our goal is simple. It's to connect consumers and businesses brilliantly online. And we do that by helping them get found, get chosen, and connect. And for me personally, working at Yell, why I'm so passionate about it is because I can't think of anything braver than starting your own business and being out there in the world doing that. And if we can do something to help those businesses, we absolutely should and do. And that's really what we've done. And we've been much more focused on it being about the customer. So I've worked across South Africa and the UK. So some people, I might not sound typically British. That's because I grew up in Cape Town. And my roles have always impacted the customer. So when I look back across my career, it's always been about the customer for me. And so I started off in customer service roles where I was on the phone with customers to managing those teams. And then I moved over to the UK, and I had a mix of working in housing, which is government housing and social housing, so low cost housing for customers. And I worked through a number of roles that looked at how we could improve the business, but always focused on the customer, back to managing a team, and then moving to my time at Yell, where I have now been running the customer experience team since the beginning of last year. And so what my team are responsible for at Yell is we look across the end-to-end business. So it includes driving and shaping our customer experience through our journey, improving the journey that our customers go on, delivering a digital first, so making sure that we are not only providing digital products, but digital services with our customers, and then making sure that we are improving the tools our frontline teams are doing and working with to make it easier for them to deliver a better customer experience as well as a better service. My team are incredible, and I put a big part of what we've achieved down to them. It's always the mute problem, isn't it? So I'm very grateful to them, and I think they're a big reason as to why we were recognised. And it was the CX Leader of the Year work that the award was awarded for, related to how we have transformed our service offering for our customers, where we started to put the customer at the heart of everything that we did. So in terms of where we started at Yell, I would say 2 years ago, we weren't there for our customers. Our customers didn't have a voice when they were telling us they weren't happy. We weren't listening. We weren't learning from that. And we weren't adding value. So marketing is quite a complex thing, and we weren't making it simple. So we weren't adding value, and we weren't helping them. And our teams were focused on things that took their attention away from our customers. So we've made some significant changes, and I wanted to touch on this a little bit, but I'm going to go into some other more focused on the CX leadership part. You know, we really started putting the customer at the heart of what we did. We made some significant changes to our senior leadership. Starting the customer experience team was one of those changes. And as a result, that culture has driven improved retention rates, so our customers stay with us longer. Our brand NPS is up 40%, and our contact, so following a contact with the business, it's up 21%, August to August. I've looked at the figures that I pulled, and our complaints were down 70%. So that's our customers telling us in a variety of ways that they're having a better experience. So today, what I'd like to talk to you about and share with you, sorry, you've seen the video, so I don't need to go into that. What I wanted to share with you, and I hope, is that my experience triggers you to think about something differently. It builds confidence in something that you're already doing, or it gives you something practical to do that will help the customer experience that you are impacting today or in the future. So I think that there are 4 parts to this. I think it's about leading the conversation in your organization. I think it's about telling the customer's story. It's focusing on the impact and where that sits. And it's building your CX tribe. So if I start with leading the conversation, no matter what role you have, or the role I've had, whether it had customer experience in the title or not, I knew that my role was to paint the picture of what's possible. In some cases, as it is if you run a CX team or if you're a consultant with a company, it might be to create the customer experience strategy. In other times in my career, it's been getting people excited about the impact the project I'm doing, that it will have on the customer, and helping them see what the future could look like. I believe that the role of the CX leader is to be a cross-functional connector. It's to bring people together. It's to engage your stakeholders and to make sure that they understand what's happening and that they feel like they have a voice in the room. It's to break down silos. One of my most impactful moments in my career was, it was one of my very first roles that I started in business improvement, and I kept being told about Barry. Barry was a blocker. Barry was stopping us from getting things done right for the customer. And I went and I spent a couple of days going across the end-to-end process. It was quite a small project to start with, going across the end-to-end process. By the time I got to Barry, I felt really sorry for Barry, because he was just receiving, without people understanding the impact they were having on him, he was receiving a lot of work that just wasn't necessary and ultimately was a bad experience for customers. And so we got everybody into the room and we put it up on the wall, and people were from different departments. And by the time we'd finished walking through that, people turned to Barry and said, wow, there's so much here we can make better and do this in a much better way. And I think it's about creating that space to give other people the voice and the platform. I think sometimes being a CX leader is about speaking up and telling people things that, you know, that they aren't as they say, as they think they are. There's a great TED talk, which, so if you've got a pen with you, I'd write this down. This was incredible. It's only 10 minutes long. And it's a TED talk called Get Comfortable with Being Uncomfortable. And the lady leading the TED talk says, it's about being the domino, being the first person to speak up so it gives others courage to do the same. For me, it was telling, about 2.5 years ago, it was telling our chief exec that one example they'd asked me to map out that was about a customer experience that was really poor, had to have the courage to say, this is what it's like across the board. And then I had to take a breath and wait for others to back up what I was saying and to help paint the picture of what was going on at the moment so that we could create the need to change it. It's also about telling the customer's story. And so it's making sure that you are curious and approach everything to learn as much as you can about your customer. And then it's about making sure that you gather insights across different areas. And that's looking at the voice of your customer. And so for us at Yell, that is surveys off the back of an interaction. It's reviewing complaints when a customer does tell us they're unhappy. We regularly have cross-functional meetings where we listen to calls together. We review our conversations our customers have had with us through chat. We look at what customers are saying about us on social media. We also have a customer panel. So this is one of the things I'm most proud of that my team have done. And that customer panel, we have customers from across Yell who come and meet with us and tell us about the service we offer and the products that we offer, and what's working and what's not working. You also have the voice of your people, which for us is a feedback loop. We also work with the Institute of Customer Service in the UK, and they have an annual survey that goes out to our teams that ask our teams about how focused we are on the customer. We also do reverse mentoring, and we do sessions where we listen to our teams, we invite them in to tell us what is and what isn't working. We also have Voice of the Business, which is about where we know we're not getting it right first time, how quickly we're doing things, and potentially how much it's costing. Now, all of these can be looked at individually, and I would really encourage you to bring that story together, because for me, the magic happens when they all come together. And that's where my team are focused at the moment. I would then say, once you know what the insight is telling you, it's about communicating it well. It's making sure that you bring the customer into the room, whether that's a video of a customer talking to you, or whether that is comments from surveys, and be okay for it to be negative. Be okay for people to hear the things that might make them uncomfortable, and let them see how passionate you are about that and how it needs to change. One of the things I've learned and use now when we have meetings where we are sharing a variety of things, is I always try to end the meeting on a positive. That week it's called the peak end rule, and it leaves the person feeling quite positive. It doesn't take away from your message in the meeting, but it leaves them feeling quite positive at the end of the conversation, and they reflect on that well. The next thing is to focus on impact. So it's to look and think about what's within your sphere. So sometimes, you know, my area of influence while I've been at Yell over the last 6 years has grown dramatically, but it's because when I started, I focused on what was in my control, what I could influence, and really about how those changes made a difference to the customer. So that whatever you do, no matter how big or small, make sure it's aligned to the purpose of what you're doing and the priorities that your business have. Ask yourself what keeps your chief executive and your investors up at night, what stops them from sleeping, and how that impacts the customer, and whatever you can do to move closer to that. Ivana, I've just realized my laptop is just about to die. Could you give me 2 seconds to just find a
no worries at all. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
That's all gone quiet over there. Hey everybody, it's great to see you all. Welcome on my own behalf. So many, not just faces, but names that I know. I'm checking out everybody on LinkedIn, and I think I'm connected to most people in the first degree without fail. So lovely to see you all here today. Exciting as well, because obviously we've just launched the awards in the United States, and we have with us our regional manager for North America, Vulcanovic, who I'm introducing to everybody.
I'm so sorry. Our head of technology has just gone to run and get me a power cable. I came into the room with full power and the battery's just gone as I've been talking. I'm so sorry. I'm going to carry on and he should be here shortly.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Let me move on to the next one. And then one of the things I would say is I'm lucky enough to have my team be part of my CX tribe. And some of you may be too. But it's really making sure you know who it is in your organization that can help you improve your customer experience. And one of the best things that's happened to me this year is I've expanded my CX tribe and, meeting people outside of my organization that I've been able to learn from, be challenged by, and it's helped them and me, and it's helped me become a better CX professional and a leader. And I think that the whole space for others, for me, is about let people share with you where they think things are in their experience and let them tell that story. If I go back to Barry, I spoke about at the beginning, it was the first time in a really long time that Barry had been able to tell his story. And that's why it's so important. For me, one of my most difficult lessons was learning not to argue with those that didn't agree with what I was doing. This was one of my toughest lessons. It's not your job to change people's minds, but if you're focused on the customer and making an impact through understanding your insight, sorry, the cable's just arrived. Okay, thank you. They'll be with me in a second. If you're focused on your customer and making an impact through your insights and you're building your community, people may look at that and think, oh my gosh, yes, we want to be focused on the customer. What I've been told I need to focus on, actually, if I shift it this way, I can really make a difference. And then they come to you. And just to call out for me, I'm very honored to be part of the Women in CX community, an international community of CX professionals. And I was one of the founding members there who it has absolutely changed and just changed my life, really. And as well as being a judge this year, so I judged the International Customer Experience Awards, so a massive shout out to Turkcell for winning digital transformation, really inspiring what they're doing. And we're also a member of the Institute of Customer Service. And that's allowed me to reach out to other brands and learn from them. So to wrap up, apologies for the midway drama about the power. It looks like we've just made it. So for me, every day, making life better for customers and people is what gets me out of bed in the morning. And that's always been my goal. And that's what I've applied to being a CX leader.
Thank you, Gemma, on your lovely presentation, and also all the passion that you shared with us. Not just the video itself; it's just the, let's say, the cherry on the pie to all of the work that you did. But what you just presented to us and the story that you shared with us is really something special. So I would like to start a bit of a, let's say, like storytelling or experience sharing bit with our panelists today, because they are also in the similar journey as to your one. So I would just like to ask, let's say for start, to ask Laura and then Gabriela and then Dejan to share their story and to share their views on the journey that you had and the basically tips that you shared with us. What was it for you, Laura?
Thank you so much. Before jumping on it, then at first I would just say a couple of words of what I've heard from Gemma, that I really love the structure of these 4 points, and especially 2 things to emphasize. One is curiosity, which you mentioned how important it was to raise that among everyone, and also the other thing is that to let others hear their voice. So let everyone say their voice, what they have, and that's so important to you know, just for them to say whatever it is there. So I really love that, and also the lead the conversation part. So that's also very true, that you need to have a vision which everyone can relate to, and it could be like something when you wake up, you know, during the night, then it's up there. So congratulations to what you have achieved, and I can really relate to what you did. So just let me say three things which I believe was important, like being a CX head. And one thing which I would say that the most important thing is to get the buy-in of the CEO and the board. And you know, that's very difficult to get in the boardroom. And usually how you can get in there, like explaining customer experience, the whole theory around that, because some of them just might be too far from that. And the other thing is with the numbers, that you really need to show them the numbers and link your CX initiatives to money. So probably that's what is important a lot. And the next thing is like about the voice of the employees. So that's also crucial. So because they know the most, whatever the problem there is at the company. And I mean, you have to ask them. So you never should blame them of what they did, and you shouldn't penalize them if they do something wrong about the CX initiatives, because you can make it all wrong. And the third thing probably I would emphasize is being really like really picking the few initiatives at the start. So that's so important, because it's really difficult to prioritize, because at first you just you just find lots of pain points, and you would really tackle all of them, but then to find those ones which are the most important, that's crucial. So you know, that would be the three things I would emphasize, and yeah, I would hand over to others to comment on that as well.
Yeah, from my side, I really like Gemma's presentation. Congratulations, and congratulations for your achievement. What I experiment and find like a challenging thing in my experience was to engage top and middle management in order to let their own agenda of their departments, and to find the single goal of the company, to serve the customer. And step by step, with the customer stories, with the insights, newsletters, communication, and so on, at the end, they had another attitude after a couple of months, because I saw that they put in their decision what is the impact on the customer. So this was the moment that I knew that these people are finally engaged. So here is something that the CX managers has to have in mind. And also Laura mentioned about choosing the battles, because we have we want to do a lot of things because we are curious, we want to do things, we are doers, and we have to have a top of the actions, and after we solve this, the first actions, to go to the next one, and so on, not to go with so many, because we will lose our energy, and also the energy of our others. If we have time at the end, I would like to ask Gemma how many members has his team, and what is their role, in order to give this example to our attendees, how to build the CX team.
Okay, hi from my side, guys. Gemma, really nice presentation, well structured, and thank you for sharing this with us and also with our attendees at this event. And congratulations on the results. What I recognized during the presentation is something that more or less from formal or informal way we are doing in the practice here. And what is my experience? is when you mentioned this part that the customer experience leader should be the cross-functional connector. Because I really believe this is quite important, because different levels of the organization, different levels of the teams, cross-functional and so on, they all need to understand. It's not, if you're working on a project and if you are having like a legal department, technical department, first lines and so on, they all need to be synchronized, and they all need to understand the importance of the customer experience at the end. Because and need to find the proper way to fit this into the legal frames, into the technology frames, and so on. Everything needs to be synchronized in order to have the proper view. Like you splitted this into the three parts, which is quite a good structuring of this, and this is something I also see in the practice, is to connect first the people, and also which even though if there is a willing from the higher management, from the organization, in order to be focused on the customer experience, there can be a quite big issue if we are having the silos in the communication. And this is something that's not just impacting the customer experience; it's something that's impacting the whole process of work, the whole work balance and the quality of the work itself. And of course, as the third point that you mentioned, is quite important to give that voice to everyone, basically, because every voice counts and every opinion is relevant. So from that perspective, liked also the moment, of course, to be CX leader, you need also to be passionate, that you also mentioned, which is quite confirmed in the practice, and like the last thing that you said, pick and rule, because basically you need to be that person. You need to be that person who is choosing the path and leading it and pulling the others towards that direction in order to have. And there is also, like with every project, and if you're a project manager, it's not just to be a customer experience leader. You need to be that person who will ensure that everything is right. There always need to be at least one person who is pushing others and creating this environment that all are working synchronized and having this seeing how important it is to hear the voice of the customer and to offer the service that is relevant to the customers on a best possible superior customer journey. So yeah, those would be my impressions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, it's all really so interesting, isn't it? When you just described that about being the person who shows the way, I think I did that when I started working, mostly because I'd look at something and I'd go, why are we doing it that way? And I'd be like, well, let's do it better. Let's make it better. And then that's why I included the don't argue with those who disagree, because I was so passionate that it was being done wrong that I almost landed up just being like, no, it's wrong. Whereas maybe now I've learned a more sophisticated ways to tell the story, bring the insight. I think that's really important.
Sorry, when you're mentioning those that are disagree, we have internal saying, disagree but commit. So if there is maybe you are seeing differently, but if we believe this is the best way, let's do it the best possible ways.
Yes. Yeah. Lara's point about the board, I think, is critical, and it's not something I touched on, but I've had both extremes over the last few years, and certainly having a board and a senior leadership team who get it, who are asking you about the customer, who want to know, is really, really liberating. But when I've not had that before, the most powerful way that I could get them to feel a little bit uncomfortable was to really bring it into the room and then back it up with insights and numbers, to say, this isn't just one customer, but what you're sitting in here is not uncommon. And if you give people the space to say it, they back it up because they see it too.
So what just one comment on that one, that what I used to say, that it's the voice of board. So I mean, we of course have to ask the opinions of customers and employees, yeah, and everyone around, but especially the voice of the board is really important, to listen to them and really to hear what they need to say or what they have to say about customer experience and then their need around the CX initiatives and projects.
So the question about the team, if there's time now, I am happy to talk through how my team is structured. So we're a business of about 1,000 employees, and my team is a team of 9. So within my team, I have 4 departments or 4 work streams. I don't feel like it's fair to call 2 people a department, but I have 4 work streams. One is customer experience insight, and that is everything you would imagine insight is, from collecting the data to collating the story and then telling the story. The role of that team is to make sure that we are surfacing for everybody, every level of stakeholder across the business, what's going on, and using that to share, you know, right from the board all the way through to our frontline teams, and giving them a voice as well. So it's really, really critical. You're exactly right, to make sure we're hearing all of that. Then I have a team that focuses on the customer journey. So that can be everything from the process to the journey, or the process that sits under the journey, and we look at that end to end. So what's going on, what's happening, and we improve those. What we're trying to focus on quite a lot at the moment is how do we automate? We have a lot of manual processes where one person picks up a piece of paper, and you know, that's not what we want to do. We've made great strides to make that easier. The third team is looking at what we call our digital first team. So one of our goals is to offer really brilliant digital customer experiences, so more service focused, but we're taking a step back and saying, oh, how do we reach out to customers and not necessarily just wait for them to come to us? So we're doing that under our digital first customer experience strand. And the reason we call it digital first is because it's not digital only. It's saying, let's make it brilliant so you choose digital because you're a business owner and you're probably sitting down for the first time at 8 o'clock at night. Let's make it as easy as possible for you. And then the fourth stream is our customer experience tools stream. So that is anything that is custom, that our frontline teams use to support our customers, whether that's a CRM tool or a help center or a knowledge base. That team makes sure that our frontline teams are getting the best tools to help them service the customer.
Great, thank you.
May I have one more question about the human touch? That how do you keep the human touch with all this digitalization process or in this transformation? Mm-hmm.
So it's a combination of things. So it's not that the whole journey is digital at the moment. We are looking at whether there is a demand for it. So you know, it's in some ways your in terms of your bank, you'll do as much as you can because it's easy to do, and that's what the research tells us. People will want to do that, but we're really challenging ourselves to say, is that right for every interaction? So when we sell to you, we talk to you. There's a human touch. There's somebody there. Throughout setting you up, there's a human touch, and we look at it to say, how complex is it? How can we help you? What's the best way to do it? And then we go all the way through to, if you're interacting with us, you can choose to speak to us by phoning us, or you can choose to speak to us with messaging. But if you want to, we will find a way to make sure you can do it digitally. So right now it's very much down to customer choice, and we're exploring and we check in with customers as we go along. One of the things I'm challenging the team to say is, what are the journeys that really should never be digital? Mm-hmm. So I have a view on complaints. I think for me, digital is about confidence. If you are confident in your own ability, if you're confident in the brand, and you're confident in the technology that's there and being to use as a customer, you'll probably be fine. But the minute confidence drops in any of those things, I think that's when a human touch is needed. And so we're debating with ourselves right now what that looks like, and where what's right for customers.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, if we have time, I'm not sure if others have questions or if we could ask more. Ivana, what do you think?
The audience is free to ask any questions. We will try to cover them throughout the meeting. I would like to start, if you're happy with that, with our second part of the meeting, which we planned to be an interactive session with the audience. there is nothing to be afraid of. So we won't take anyone on the stage to say something if you're not prepared, but we do encourage you to pick the answer that you relate the most. So there are 3 questions that I will post one after another through the poll in the meeting. And everyone in the audience is free to pick the answer to the question that they relate the most to. So since this is just a poll and there are limited number of answers that could be given, we tried to select the 4 most common ones. But if you can choose the one that you guys relate to the most, and then I will ask our panelists and Gemma as well to give their opinion on the answers. So let's start with the first one. So I hope you can see the question in the poll. So what are the key goals of a customer experience strategy? So feel free to pick the answer that you relate to the most. Oh, I can see a lot of answers already. So we will give it another, let's say, 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, good. So more than half of the participants have already chosen their answers. So let's keep it open for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll end the poll now. I hope you can see the results. So this is what they are. Okay, so Gabriela, this is your question. What are the key goals of a customer experience strategy? So the answer with the most votes is to improve customer satisfaction. Do you agree with that? Obviously, there is no wrong answer.
Yeah. I believe this is a very good and also a tricky question. Thanks for that. And I'm very happy that we have these results. So if we are thinking to CX strategy, main goal is to clearly define the experience the company wants to deliver to customers. So the CX strategy has to be used to drive decisions inside the company to create meaningful, positive impact on customers' lives. This is general speaking. There are many framework models for strategy, but all are based on the same assumption to better understand and serve customers. Once you do that, you put in place specific actions leading to improve business and operational KPIs, as we have here: customer satisfaction, retention rate, cross-sell, upsell, and attraction of new customer sales. Just you to make sure that you have the right measurement tools in place to monitor the progress and impact of these KPIs, which should be aligned, of course, with the business goals. But how we can achieve these goals? Well, we have to consider taking care of our customers, paying attention to their needs, and of course, to what customer we offer them and services. I believe there are important steps to follow in order to succeed implementing CS strategy. The first one is to have, we have to start building a customer-centric culture as we talk about employee engagement, and offer a great experience of our employees at work, which will have better results. Secondly, we have to look at the internal and external processes, at the entire customer journey, and according to the given customers, we should be able to produce the right balance between digital and human interaction. Here is another discussion, let's say like that, because we have to have the purpose to provide both efficiency and emotional interaction to our customers. And in the end, I believe creating a system of loyalty for the existing customers and make them promoters for our products. This will attract new customers and will help us to achieve business outcomes, cross-sell, upsell, retention. To summarize our discussion, of course, all answers are correct. When we talk about measurable outcomes, we have to ensure that customers feel in control, confident, and secure, and also to have in mind that behind the numbers are people. I have a joke. The most powerful challenge of a CX strategy is to be designed and implemented, not just to talk about this. Yeah.
Thank you. Great. Anything, Gemma, that you would like to add to this?
I think what I would add to it is probably relates to experience or learning I've had in the last few years, where I think it's drawing, and I can't remember which one of you said it when we started the panel discussion, but it's that linking it, I think it was Laura, to what's important to the board. And it's because it facilitates you to drive customer satisfaction. So ultimately, as a business, you need to keep your customers. So you want them to retain, and as Gabriela said, and spend more money with you and promote you and do all of those things. And so in the beginning, I was like, well, I just want to make customers happy. But it was changing my language into, I make them happy, and then therefore that happens, because that means that starts to relate to customer retention and lifetime value and all, like growing your existing base. And so slightly shifting that for me in terms of my language made me, I felt, a lot more effective in those conversations.
Mm.
Maybe there's one more thing to add, that I mean, it really needs to be so simple, you know, how you approach it and how you communicate it to everyone at the company. So they really need to understand what the CX strategy is about. And what's good that if you translate it into their language, you know, what a HR person would think about it. So we had lots of discussions with people in HR, in operations, in finance, that, you know, how they understand what the CX strategy is about, what they can do about the CX, you know, the promises, the customer promises to make them deliver. Yeah, all these things, just make it simple, have one and make it simple. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think Laura's point is also relates to the question that we got in the chat, and that's actually how to get the engagement of the top level management and how to convince them about the importance of CX.
Yeah. So I get from my personal experience, what's happened, particularly at Yale in the last few years, is our senior, everybody at our very senior level is talking about customer retention. Are our customers staying? Are they growing with us? And so it was, the challenge was with me and my team that, the leadership I have now, I don't need to convince there, and I have to say that support makes so many great things happen. I do have to be able to show the return on investment, of course, but in terms of them being bought in and absolutely on the same page, that's there, and it's really empowering. In the past, it was to link things that we wanted to do and things that weren't happening to the number they were looking at on a board pack, which was mostly customer retention. So that was the measure that was most compelling in our business at that time, that we were seeing not what we wanted to see, and then therefore we started to bring to life in a simple way, as simple as you can, because you're exactly right, they're very busy people with a lot to think about, the experience that was happening and drawing that line of sight to what was appearing in the numbers.
I also can add to that you know, what we did in Budapest Bank. We called our program the Butterfly program. That was the name, Butterfly Effect program. And what we did, we ran butterfly days for the management team, so for the board, and everyone needed to participate, including the CEO and all board members. And we it was a one-day-long program, and they all participated at that. And you know, we teach them about the 6 pillars of the framework. We had really nice examples around that. We invited customers for them, and they had the possibility to talk with customers, and they were really engaged after that. So that's one thing I would emphasize, that how you could engage the board as well. And the other thing is that the numbers, really. So you have to not just to talk about the fluffy things, because customer experience might seem really fluffy, like okay, customer experience, but then if you show them the results, like really it has an impact then on the numbers, then definitely it will help.
So I'm getting very excited now. I love this stuff. It gets my brain thinking. I just wanted to give an example. So something similar, we spoke about customer retention. So I got a piece of insight done, and I looked across all our customers that had scored us a certain score. So customers who, and so because we were saying, look, our net promoter score is going up, well, that's really great. But to make the link back to customer retention, I got some analysis done that said, if a customer scores us in a promoter, a detractor, or a neutral, did that mean anything different in terms of whether they stayed? And across all of our journeys, I was shocked it was across every single one, but across all of our journeys, it did mean it, including when our customer stops paying us. It still meant that the higher you scored us, the more likely you were to retain. And suddenly what you had is a very easy conversation about why improving the customer experience was important, because you could show the correlation to what it meant in terms of retention. So it's sometimes going to people and saying, help me tell the story, and then they'll come back and help you do it.
And you even can link that further to the profit, you know, the customer value, you know. So we checked also that what those people who give 9 and 10, what profit they generate to the company. And it turned out that definitely they generate much more than the ones who gave 6 and below. So there is quite a nice link, but it takes time to calculate that. Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Okay, good. We can keep going on about the first question.
I definitely could all day.
Yeah, all right. But let's try to have all 3 questions answered. So let's, if you agree, launch the question number 2. So this one is for Dejan. Okay. Okay, let's see. So what is the most impactful pain point of your current customer journey? So feel free to pick your answer or the answer that you relate the most to. Okay, you are a very active audience, really good to see. So let's give it another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'll end the poll now. Okay, let's see the results. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, 11 answers to not knowing what customers want.
Kind of expected one, to be honest, and then probably the one that I would pick as well.
Is that the most difficult one as well?
Yeah, it can be, you know, like from some perspective of, if I would look it through the perspective of telco industry, telco industry is quite a dynamic one, and I know that one side we are having this great honor to have a constant relationship with the customer, basically 24/7. So when we woke up, we take a phone. When we go to sleep, the last company is our phone, probably at this point. And so there is a constant 24/7 basically, or when we don't sleep with the phone, and therefore also with the mobile operator. So from this perspective, the customer is always there. But on the other side, this also creates a challenge because the behaviors of the customers is constantly changing. So you always need to improve and always need to understand the customer. So basically, if we are doing one analysis or getting some customer insight, like if we did it 2 years ago, maybe it's already old, maybe we need to roll it again because customer behavior changed. And from that perspective, and if you are all time present in the customer life, maybe you will end up not knowing what customer wants because you will be lost in time, because at some point they like this, but now maybe they don't, because you always need to be constantly, and the generations of the customers are changing and so on. And I will give you just one example that is not basically connected to or anyhow connected to the to telco industry or the industry that we know today. But a few days ago, I ran into some into some kind of article that a car company named Buick, I hopefully I pronounced this right, and we are not having them many in Serbia, but I understood that they are quite popular in the North America, US, and also China. And I read an article that back in 80s, which is basically 40 years ago, they had a car where they had the screens and the touch point screen actually in their cars. And this product wasn't successful, so they stopped this production and selling. What was the reason? Because the customer then said, this is pulling our focus from the road, so this is something that we cannot interact with, this is something that is not needed. But if we look at it from the perspective of today's society, and if we look from the perspective of today's cars that are going in this direction, that the biggest car brands are producing this way, so there is a lot of touch screen, LCD screens, touch points, and so on, and no one is saying, okay, this is not, it's not letting me focus on the road, and people like those stuff. What is the point here? Of course, I don't know what they did 40 years ago in Buick, or how did they explore the market. But basically the point is here that they didn't ask their customers, probably. It was maybe the product wasn't ready. It wasn't the time. It was a bad timing from the one side. On the other side, the market weren't ready. The industry weren't ready, because today we are used to this kind of technology through our phones, but back then they weren't. And so therefore it needed like 30, 40 years till this technology came back, until we are saying now, yeah, we want to give you money for this, So this is also what the point of the story is, that if you are not asking your customer what they want, if you don't understand, you can invest a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of resources, human and all other resources, and at the end up with a product that is not that is not accepted by the customer. Even though by all the parameters, someone will say, this is fantastic, this is futuristic, this is fantastic, but maybe you are too early, or maybe at some point you will be too late, because your competition already is there where you didn't be, because you didn't recognize this importance. So yes, I would agree with this answer, even though all of the answers at some point are piece of the puzzle, that were given here. But let's say that this is the one that would be picked up by me as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Great connection with the actual example. I like actual examples, because it's really easy to actually connect and relate to the topic, and actually to remember what you were talking about, which is really important. Yeah.
And you can Google this as well,
All right. I would just like to mention one thing, because we said that this meeting will last for an hour. So we have one more question, and that question is for Laura. So I would just like to pose that question in the poll. And since we still have a lot of people in the meeting, to try to give answers to the third one. And then if people want to stay, we can have a quick chat. So let's launch the question number 3. So what gives you the best insight into the results of your CX initiatives? Please start giving your answers. Obviously, if anyone would have a fourth option to share, feel free to do that in the chat, and we can then give the answer to that after this meeting. So yeah, all right, another 5, 4, 3, 2, one, and I'm closing the poll. So let's see the results. All right. We have a winner.
Yeah. Actually, there is no good or bad answer anyway. So it depends, on the objective, what you want to achieve. And also it depends on the resources you have at the company, how many people are doing things, how much money you have, to get to know what about the CX initiatives. But I would say that definitely you need to have the right metrics. So which means that it's so important that's what we just realized, that you have really lots of KPIs and the metrics around at your company most probably. So you use really many things, but the ones which can be measured. Okay, so but sometimes not the ones which would say anything about the customers, or which would be important to your customers. So that would be the first thing, to gather all the metrics and see really if that relates to your customers and your problems. So that's what that was our starting point at Budapest Bank, to check all these. And I would say that's not very easy to deliver the right metrics, because sometimes the systems are not available for that purpose. But all in all, so just because I know we have very few time, just saying that it could be anything. So of course, what we use the triangle. So that probably I would then say this one example. We use the triangle, and in the triangle we had three things. One was about the relationship metrics, so the NPS, the CSAT scores, so the satisfaction scores, the retention rate. We even created a love index, because that was our vision, to become a more lovable bank. And then at the second stage, we had the operational metrics, like the waiting times, and things like the first time resolution calls, and like how much time does it take to get a mortgage loan, for example, things like that. And at the top of the triangle, you had the business metrics, which were about the lifetime value, for example, of the customer, and things like that. So I don't want to go into more details, but what we try to do, like link these metrics to each other, and we benchmark them. So we started measuring it before launching an initiative, and then measured it whenever we launched an initiative, and we checked if those initiatives were successful. So just briefly this, I could say many more about that, but no time, unfortunately.
Thank you. All right. So since the time has come to actually end this meeting, I'm really pleased to see still all of the excitement, and that you would be happy to stay and chat a bit longer. But I have to say a big thank you to all of the attendees today for your interaction, for your contribution to actually this discussion by selecting your answer. And also many thanks to Gabriela, Laura, and Dejan, and Gemma as well, for being here with us today. So just another thing that I would like to say to everyone. So if you would like to become a member of the CX community in the region, as a participant or judge or an entrant into our European Customer Experience Awards or Turkey Customer Experience Awards, please feel free to reach out to my lovely colleagues, Christine and Jan. And together with CXPA, we will continue to share knowledge and importance of focus on CX. So stay tuned for our next meeting. So you probably know that this one is the second meeting that we are holding now. So the third one, we will continue going deeper into the CX topic. So see you in early February. Thank you all for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.